Clinton administration came back and said there's Title VI of the Civil Rights Act is being violated by all these corporations. Now, Art Fletcher taught me Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. I know it like the back of my hand. Did a little research, came back and announced that the Civil Rights Commission officially proclaimed the Environmental Protection Agency to be in non-compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. They went away. But now, under the new strength that they have, or they think they have, they're coming back again. And what they're trying to do with us is wreck our economy. They've got the Clean Power Plan, they've got the ozone rule, they got the methane rule. They have all these rules that will wipe probably about 40% of our GDP over the next decade. We need to fight it badly. Now, Los Angeles, people from Los Angeles, no matter what you do, you're going to be in non-attainment with all of these regulations because there's a place called China and a place called India, and there's the westerly winds. And all of China and India's air comes over and sits in the LA basin and the rest of California. Boston, you will always have a problem as long as there's a Montreal. It shifts. This is a global issue. And the UN doesn't have the stomach to look at this and tell, especially the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that you've got to be a little more responsible in your production. The United States can't pay for it all. So to give you a little understanding of how this stuff is hitting home, bear with me while I read 600 words here. This was in the Post-Gazette yesterday, and it's an article that I wrote, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Summer may be winding down, but the Washington regulation machine is gearing up for a busy fall. First up next month is the Environmental Protection Agency's proposed ground-level ozone rule. The EPA has recommended moving the current 75 parts per billion standard down to between 65 and 70 parts per billion. It sounds innocuous enough, but the economic consequences for Pennsylvania and the nation would be quite severe. The U.S. economy would see a loss of $140 billion per year, the loss of 1.4 million jobs annually, according to estimates by the National Association of Manufacturers. Pennsylvania would be particularly hit hard, experiencing $98 billion gross state product loss from 2017 to 2040, and the loss of more than 100,000 jobs per year. Average household consumption would drop by almost $1,500 annually, essentially meaning that money Pennsylvanians otherwise would spend on everyday needs, such as housing expenses and food, would go towards complying with the new ozone rule. To add insult to injury, much of the country is still struggling to meet the current 2008 ozone standard of 75 parts per billion. Pittsburgh and Beaver County are just two of the areas that did not attain that standard by this past July's deadline. In essence, the EPA is moving the goal line in the fourth quarter of the game. Unfortunately, its actions will not only hurt the nation as a whole, but will disproportionately affect America's urban, low-income, and minority families. If a community comes in below the levels set by the EPA, it is deemed entertainment, and the usual amounts of construction, infrastructure improvement, development, and other elements of the healthy and growing economy can continue. These activities create jobs and generate revenue. On the flip side, the EPA wields a heavy stick for communities that are deemed in non-attainment. It can step in and overrule state decisions to issue permits, stopping development and growth, with no consideration of the financial impact or loss of jobs. Significantly, under the 65 parts per billion standard, 62 of Pennsylvania's 67 counties would be in non-attainment. And here is why lowering the standard now would disproportionately affect those who can least afford it. Urban areas, where many low-income and minority families live, find it more difficult to cut ozone levels due to traffic congestion and density of industry and manufacturing. Lower limits leading to a non-attainment would penalize these areas, many of which already face slower than average economic growth. New regulations could raise energy costs, and families on fixed incomes have little room to absorb them. Most importantly, the loss of development and economic expansion would affect many of the blue-collar jobs that power our low-income and minority communities. 2 weeks ago, the National Black Chamber of Commerce joined the African American Chamber of Commerce of Western Pennsylvania and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to sponsor a panel discussion on the EPA's proposed impact on Pennsylvania jobs and economy. This issue is too important to our urban areas to go unnoticed. Already, cities such as Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which work hard to meet the current 75 parts per billion standard, have lost new projects because businesses fear the effects of new EPA rules. We can't let that happen here. There are many in the minority community who believe President Barack Obama's environmental efforts are admirable, okay, but they also understand the focus needs to be on creating and keeping jobs for a strong future. Rather than moving the goal line on ozone, the administration should work with states and businesses to make that future a reality. Sadly, the proposed ozone rule would put urban areas like Pittsburgh on the losing side of the field. Now, that's the ozone proposal. There's another one called the Clean Power Plan, which will eliminate coal as we know it. President Obama says he wants to kill coal.
Yeah.
All right, kill coal. Now, what are you going to replace it with? God gave us coal. Let's use it. There's another, the methane rule. And this is no joke. They want to control flatulence of cattle, especially. The EPA says cow farts are going to destroy the earth. Yeah. I mean, this is an official proposed rule.
That's an official position.
So I work with the National Black Association of Farmers. I said, you guys about to lose your cattle over a hunch. So they're hurting. They're coming after us with a vengeance. I mean, a vengeance. He wants gasoline up to $9 a gallon, quote unquote. Barack Obama said it on video to the San Francisco Chronicle. They want America to be less powerful in manufacturing. What does that mean? Russia and China is going to be treating us nice and fair because we're less powerful than them? No. Though we walk through the valley of death, we shall fear no evil, because we are the meanest, toughest, baddest, roughest nation on this earth, and nobody's going to mess with us, not even the EPA. Thank you.